And that's it. We're live. Hey, everybody out there, come on in. Come on in. We see you out there. It's time to talk Sunday Funnies. I just got my notification that if we don't go live, where is this? Twitter? An error occurred on Twitter. We'll go live anyway. An error occurred on Twitter. Oh, okay. Go live anyway. Here we go. If we're live, we're live. Hey, over there, come on in. We see you out there. We know you're there. The chat's open. You can talk to us. Come on. It's another edition of the Sunday Funnies. This one's for the 16th of October, 2022. Guess what happened on this day in comic history?
Tell us.
I got to get it set up here. I ask the questions and I don't have the proper responses.
Don't know. Fantastic Four was published. Number 1.
No.
Superman. Number 1.
All right. It's maybe it's not comics history. Maybe it's entertainment history.
Don't know. Tell us.
A couple of guys got together and decided to form a company.
Is that Arrow Comics?
No, it's not Arrow Comics.
Huh.
Recognize those guys back in I think it was 1923.
Wow. Is it Walt Disney?
Aren't they little angry guys? Yeah, the person on the right is Walt, and the person on the left is his brother Roy.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Walt Disney was formed today. Walt Disney Company.
Wow.
It's also isn't it also 1962 on the 16th of October when President Kennedy first got photographs of the missiles on Cuba?
Huh.
I'm sure that's a direct coincidence there. I mean,
Parallel. Yeah.
Parallel. Yeah.
They look like steel worker guys, don't they?
1923. Walt Disney Company's founded.
Coffee. Yeah.
I got this from Jim Engel this morning. Jim's a great cartoonist in his own right out of Chicago. Great guy.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And let's go to the next one. Give me a second here. Right there.
Oh, Joe Sinnott.
Here you go.
It's Joe's birthday today.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome. I didn't know that. I would have pulled a couple of
the great Joe Sinnott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, man.
Yeah.
Super nice guy.
Yeah. He signed a ton of books for my buddy Pete, and I'm lucky enough to have a few of them. And it just, there
he is in the
fantastic.
50s.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Before he started the career everybody knows him for. I mean, he's still inking a comic page there, though.
Kirby and Sinnott, that's it.
I wonder if it's like us. Well, I say us. I'll say me. With all those brushes, I've got piles of brushes like that, but I think I only use 3.
Yeah.
Well, you've got the ones that you always use, and then you've got the other ones for special effects. Yeah, that you pull out and use however you need to. Fabulous. Wait a minute, we're still on? Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure we were on the right picture here. Let's keep going. There's another great one right there.
Yeah.
Look at that great picture he drew in the background. Just phenomenal.
See, that's how I remember him, because that's when I was of the age to. But he was such a nice guy, really.
Yeah, really. Yep.
Yeah. I think I said before, I think it's really sad that he only met Kirby twice and I met Kirby twice, and it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right, does it?
That's remarkable.
In fact, I think I don't know how long he was with him, but I think I spent more time with Jack Kirby than Joe Sinnott did, and I think that can't be right.
That does seem like a travesty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure not as much time as they spent on the phone.
Well,
yeah,
I know they used to swap. They used to pass on letters to each other in their artwork and things like that. So they did communicate.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you the power of collaboration. I mean, it really it's amazing what they accomplished, even if they weren't together in the same room. They're on this together on the same pages, and it's an amazing,
literally the same pages.
Yeah.
Contribution to the art form, and I mean, it's amazing, amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Also
Fabulous.
on this page, or on this day in history, a book was released. Famous book. Little Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
The Bible.
Oh, really? C.S. Lewis. Wow.
C.S. Lewis. Again, I'm pulling all this from Jim Engel's page. He's good for that kind of stuff. And there was one other thing: the creation or the premiere very famous character right there.
Ooh,
Mighty Mouse?
Mighty Mouse.
No kidding.
wow. Come
I
on.
was just going through a couple comics of Mighty Mouse that I've got.
October 16th, 1941. Mighty Mouse, then Super Mouse.
He looks
Makes
like
his debut in the Terry Toons short.
he looks
Mouse
like
of
a
Tomorrow.
Rob Liefeld chest there, doesn't it? Is it Rob Liefeld? maybe that's where he got his
Captain America
inspiration from.
Yeah, no, he's got his feet drawn in his hands. So yeah, it's not
Mighty
Liefeld.
Mouse. It's not. I mean, it's not Mickey Mouse ripped off at all, is it?
No.
I mean, look at those hands and those ears.
Yeah.
Actually, Mickey had a shade in his ear there for one short, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a gray circle inside of the black circle, and the animators complained it's too hard to draw.
I went to Disney in Florida a few years ago, and I went to the the castle, the big castle, and there was all these people same age as me, and there were all these kids there, and they were all cheering things like they had I don't know what the new Toy Story and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff was going on, and when Mickey Mouse came out, all the adults cheered, and the kids didn't know who he was.
Yeah. Not surprised.
All the adults jumped up and went, "Yeah!"
Isn't that crazy? God, that's nuts.
They have worked real hard to change that because they're worried about their copyright claim.
Sure.
So they went through and did a whole string of Mickey Mouse cartoons with the pie eye.
Good morning.
Most of which are really funny. Good morning, Russ.
Morning.
Man, they let everybody in here, Russ. God.
A couple of them are very classic. We haven't even introduced ourselves yet. We're talking about Mighty Mouse here. One last thing before we turn off of this picture, I want to point out the phenomenally painted background on this of the cans.
Yeah,
they paid somebody to sit there and do a painting of a bunch of cans sitting on a shelf. Just so that they could put Mighty Mouse in front.
Today you don't have to paint one; you could just reproduce it on a computer.
They're lucky they didn't just photograph it at this point.
Yeah,
because there were some of the Fleischers had cartoons had photographs back behind them for backdrops. They were really experimental back in those days.
That shadow's not very good though, is it, on his feet?
Not really. Kind of looks like a spill.
It's a cartoon, man.
He's wet himself.
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Shadow line.
Mighty Mouse premiered on this day as Super Mouse on The Mouse of Tomorrow.
Very cool.
What a great thing. Oh, let me get rid of that here. You don't need to see my page. There we are. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
We'll go through and introduce ourselves after I run the opening, which I have to scroll down to first. Here we go. Oh, that's the promo. Here we go. That's right. Come on in, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Chat's open. We're here to talk funny books. I'm your host, Randy Zimmerman. I'm a longtime alternative and independent comics creator, producer, publisher. Done just about everything you can imagine surrounding this business in this industry. Retailed for over a decade. Ran conventions for over a decade. Had my own comics and entertainment paper for over a decade that I circulated through my county. So, for about a decade. We ran through 100 issues. So 10,000 copies of each issue, moved 1 million copies here in my county.
Wow.
But other than that, I am currently editor-in-chief of Arrow Comics and doing a lot of commercial sequential work, of which I just found out here a couple of days ago where there's going to be a lot more preservers coming out here pretty soon. That's a team of superheroes I made to teach kids conservation and preservation. So one of these days, Russ, I'm going to have to commission a group drawing from you.
Of course.
Of these characters. It'll be great in your style. It'd be phenomenal.
Anytime.
But they have a little, there's an episode of Treehouse Masters out there by Animal Planet where they came to the nature preserve that I designed the preservers for and made their clubhouse. And there's a lot of my work all through the episode. I'm there for like 2 seconds. But see me and then I'm gone. But all of my work is there, which I'm really proud of. And the guy pulls a comic book out of his back pocket, and we want to make a home for these guys. It was pretty cool. Then they went and had some Hollywood sculptor guy do foam sculptures of all of their heads, and they installed them up above, out of reach from the kids, all around the treehouse. So they're there, and they put the preservers next to the door, and they turned it into the preservers headquarters, and they use it as a classroom. Now they hike kids out to it, and they teach them about conservation and preservation. So, and the preservers themselves were a trail that they would put up. They could walk for about a mile and see about 13 or so signs that were almost set up like Sunday comic strips, 2 tiers where they teach kids about different aspects of conservation, preservation in comic book form. So, or they played a little game or whatever on the boards. It was a lot of fun. Sugar Chris in the house. Sugar, you're on time today. Nice to see you, buddy. Sometime I'm going to have you on. So that we can talk comics and on the podcast. Hope your morning is going well.
You're Scott Roseman,
sir. No Scott. I did send him the link though. So, I sent Brian the link too. I didn't send Charles the link, but Charles usually asks before we bring him in. So I hope everybody's doing well. Also with me today is Mr. Glenn Fleming. Glenn, introduce yourself.
Hi everybody. My name is Glenn Fleming. I'm an artist, writer, and publisher. Relevant to this program, my latest tome is Jack Kirby, A Personal Journey, Words and Pictures, which I talk about my visits to Jack Kirby's house in the late 80s and early 90s. With that, you can get this from me, by the way. With that, you get a DVD of me and Jack in his studio talking. I've also written lots of books, children's books on my travels around the world, a book about my dad's escapade on D-Day, a couple of science fiction books there, on and on. But right now, I also publish Comics Unlimited with this fella here, right, which is a 100-page quarterly magazine, 100-page magazine about comics. And last but not least, I'm just about to launch the 2nd issue of my character Hatch.
Great.
This is the original cover artwork.
Cool.
Nice.
Sweet.
I could go on, but I'd be here for 2 hours.
I do have a copy of the Preservers handy. So there's the 2nd issue.
Oh,
that's
brilliant.
The 2nd trail.
Awesome.
I'll have to say too, it's a fantastic setup. What they did with Randy's creation. I mean, the whole area, that the walkway, it's beautiful. The whole thing. I know you're saying it for yourself, but I gave you props. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, if you get a chance, it's Nature's Superheroes episode on Treehouse Masters on Animal Planet. So, not listed, by the way, on my IMDb page. So I don't know.
But it's there. It is there, though.
But it is, yeah. If you go up on YouTube, I think they have at least 1 or 2 little shorts about it.
They do. Also
with us today is Mr. Ted Davies. Ted, introduce yourself.
Hi, guys. I'm Ted Davies of Ted Davies Artistry. I'm best known for Retrieve and my book series Grim 101. You guys can check those out on Ted Davies Artistry shop page. Just check that out and see all my artwork. I also publish with this young gentleman above me here, Comics Unlimited. You can check out everything we're doing there. I'm a YouTuber, loudmouth artist, and I enjoy it. So check everything else we're doing with the comics. We got a really good show today. I'm really looking forward to showing you some of the stuff that Randy and I have come up with. And I think that you Brits are going to learn something today. So that's all I'm saying.
There's a first time for everything, isn't there?
That's it,
buddy.
Just settle down now and just wait.
We were talking culinary arts. So
yeah, right.
Different food.
Yeah.
When we
get this,
mention
Russ.
bangers and mash.
Get this, Russ. These 2 jokers think that what was it? Pasty. A pasty is the same as shepherd's pie.
Jesus.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get off. God, they land on the moon and that's it. They think they can tell you everything, don't they?
I think some guy can draw Batman and then they give him a show. Come on. All right, Rush, I love your work.
Come on,
man. I do
lamb and potatoes.
Just giving you a hard time.
Seriously. Also with us today is Mr. Russ Leech. Russ, introduce yourself.
Good day, everybody. I'm a comic book artist from the UK. Currently on a run on Batman. Been on a run for Doctor Who for about a year. and some other stuff I did before for Doctor Who. Done some stuff for Marvel. Been around for Cartoon Network as well. So been very fortunate over the last 10, 12 years. And also have my own creations, Only Death Can Save Us, which you can find globally very soon from New Haven Publishing. But you can also find the second book up on Indiegogo. You can find out all about me at russleech.com.
I'm trying to figure out the character that you have on your microphone.
Whether
What this? That's because you've just seen his ass.
That's what I was going to say. I was wondering if you have his ass pointed at us
monkey.
this whole time.
Monkey, get the tea, monkey.
It's a monkey. It's a monkey's ass. Is what it is.
It's a monkey's ass. Yes. Monkey.
We got the
Monkey.
creator of Spank the Monkey on the station, and we got the monkey's ass.
Monkey.
That's great, though. It's good.
Monkey.
And then we have Ted.
And then we have
And we
the
have
other
Ted
monkey's
again.
ass. Yeah, right here. That's great.
You
Awesome.
said it.
Hey, sorry. You know what? Beat you to it. Sorry. All right.
I would
Okay.
never say such a thing.
That's okay. You'll just write it. I know. Prince libel, right?
Always
Good to
glad
see
to see
Sugar.
Russ around.
Yes.
Sugar says,
Hello,
thanks,
Sugar.
Sugar. Hope you're doing all right. Everybody out there, hit that like button, hit that love button, subscribe to the Indie Comics Network if you haven't already, because all of our subscribers are organic, which means they're actually real, as opposed to some other channels who go out there and pay for fake accounts and all that. We're working our way. We're trying to work our way up to a natural 1,000 so that we can start taking super chats or tips or whatever. So,
Unlike Randy, who is an AI.
I am.
Just saying.
I just write things robotically.
He's the
Although-
new Max Headroom.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's
Absolutely.
the original. We just totally dated, all of us just dated ourselves by like 20 years.
And there's kids out there now
Yeah.
going, "Who the hell's
What?
Max
Who the hell's
Headroom?
Max
What the
Headroom?"
hell?"
Googling Max Headroom now. All right.
So
Kids, there are kids.
Randy's AI and Ted's just A.
Yeah. Opinions vary, but that's good.
Hey,
I'll take it.
yeah.
I'll take it.
You're an A.
Jokes apart.
AI and AH.
I've been called worse. I've been thrown out of better joints than this. All right, whatever.
Kids, you might want to keep a pad of paper and a pencil with you to write notes down of things to look up later. That's all we can tell you.
Oh, dear. Right, I'm
Normally,
going
we're
now.
old farts talking comics, and today is no exception. So here we go.
So come on, Ted. What have you got? What are you showing us?
We got stuff to show. I want to. I've been boasting this show as my bargain bin haul episode. So I got to
Yeah.
tell you, I was down at a show last weekend at Bowling Green, Kentucky. There in the rolling hills, and really about 60 miles north of Nashville. And I ended up buying a small stack of books.
Nice.
Cool.
While I was there, I had there's actually still a couple more here, but I had a couple of hours to kill while I was waiting for Luke Stone to wade through Atlanta traffic in order to drive up north to where I was. Luke and I were doing the show together, and it was the day before the show. They didn't allow setup on Friday because they had a very important event going on. I don't know what the event was, but apparently it was too important for us to be able to go in and set up at. But the show was held at the Corvette Museum.
Oh, nice. Real nice.
And there were a lot of, I didn't go into the museum itself, but there were a lot of really nice Corvettes on display there. One in the most beautiful blue I think I've ever seen in my life. It was like a deep royal that I can't say I've ever seen on the road before, but if I had seen it, I would remember it because it was just real pretty. And of course it was polished and glistening, and it's fantastic. The room, as soon as we saw the room, we were like, oh boy, I wonder how big a show this is going to be. But in the meantime, like I said, I had a couple hours to kill. So I went out and GPS'd a bookstore, asked if there were any bookstores in the Bowling Green area. Bowling Green's college town. I don't remember which University of Kentucky is there, but it's one of them, probably Southern, USK or whatever it was. But because it's a southern part of the state. But anyway, the only bookstore I could find was a half-off book market bookstore. And I said, well, that sounds cool. I'll go there and see if there's anything there. Because I'm always looking for oddball books. Like, on Roman toilets and stuff that I don't know. Different things. But no, I love collecting local.
Well, you were on the Roman toilet, or you were looking for a book on the Roman toilet?
No, that goes back to a story I told earlier. I knew a guy who was a book collector and had his own secondhand store, I guess you could say, of books and collectibles, vinyl and CDs and paperbacks and all that. And he says, you know, the most expensive book that I ever sold, and I sold it online on eBay. He says, you'd never guess what it was about. It was about Roman toilets. Because it shows you that the value of the book is only as high as the person who wants to buy it.
Purchase it, yeah.
Yeah. And apparently it got into a bidding war between a couple of Hollywood producers that were doing Roman
toilets,
Roman movies or miniseries. He thinks it went to the guy who did Rome for HBO. Anyway, that's how long ago it was. But that was interesting because they did use quite a few scenes in the bathroom. So on that show where they're all sitting around and grabbing the sponge on the stick. And
sounds like a great show.
Yeah,
great show. Anyway,
right.
But you know, it was HBO at the time, wanted to be cutting edge so that they could show stuff that you couldn't normally see on network TV. So hey, put them in the toilet. Anyway, what can I tell you? But anyway, while I was there were all sorts of books. I get there and it looks like a used bookstore. It's rather big. It's about I would say at least 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. Wow. And there was one bin off in the corner, one bin that was offering comics for $1. And if you bought 50 or more, they would lower the price to 50 cents. So I went through and bought a bunch of 50-cent comics, and I'm like, oh, look at these ratted old nasty books. I'm funny, you know, and just I walked around the store, and then I came back to it. There was a guy that was already going through it at the time, and it was jammed. I mean, it was packed. The comics were all set in rows, and there was a guy going through it, and I didn't want to bump into him, so I went and walked around. When I come back, he was gone, so I started going through it. And I'm like, oh yeah, this, and then I'm like, oh, look at this, and then pull it out, and oh, look at this, and pretty soon I'm getting a little small stack, and I'm like, I haven't read this in decades, and I pulled out that book and this book, and pretty soon it got pretty crazy, and then I had to start putting books back. You know, I don't need to read that bad. And is this worth 50 cents? Probably not, that kind of thing. And there were a lot of that. But first off, I have to tell everybody, if you haven't seen a copy of, and some of your retailers might still have a copy of Comics Express out there, which is a comic strip collection magazine, mostly humor strips, mostly single panel strips, well worth your time. A lot of that material is very evergreen and still run by, some of the syndicates are still printing. In the Neighborhood is in this, which is a esoteric single panel strip that I enjoy very much. If you haven't seen that, if you see a copy of Comics Express, Opus is in it, Bloom County was in it. There's some good strips in it, and there's a good, if you can pick it up for even $2 or $3, well worth your time, well worth your money. Also, Eternity, that Roland used to be editor for a while there, was grabbing anything that they could to reprint. And one of their titles was Cosmic Heroes, that collects the early Buck Rogers strips.
Awesome.
And the reason it collects, one of the main reasons it collects those Buck Rogers strips is because all of those strips are in public domain.
Yeah.
So, and it's printed sideways. Every Sunday strip is there.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Buck Rogers public domain?
Yes, technically he is.
So we could do a Buck Rogers strip.
You'd have to be careful. You couldn't use any of the imagery from the TV show.
No.
And a few other publishers have done Buck Rogers. I believe Dynamite has done him in the past.
You could publish your own stories.
You can reprint the strip.
Wow.
Because the strip's from the 1920s, early 1920s.
Early 20s. Wow.
You have to be careful which strips you reprint and make sure that they are in public domain. But there are, because Buck ran for decades and was really big in the media there in the 30s and 40s.
Right.
Had a couple of theater serials and everything.
You guys had Buck Rogers over there, right? I mean,
no, they had Dan Dare.
We had Buck Rogers was here before Dan Dare.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. Well, Buck got all over the world, though. That was one of the first real. That was the first real science fiction.
I don't know.
Russ has got it. He knows. That's great.
I think that Dan Dare was probably inspired by Buck Rogers. I would have thought.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Just like Flash Gordon. Yeah.
I was
Flash Gordon came later.
Looking at Wilma. Was it Wilma?
Wilma
Daring. Yeah.
Erin Gray. Yeah, I met her. She's not.
Those are the good old days when
Erin Gray
was on. And
she's awesome.
Erin Gray.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh, I'm thinking of Dale Arden. Melanie Anderson was. That was it for me.
Yeah, Aaron Gray, man. When I was a kid, poof.
And
Yeah.
she's like
Forget
Linda
about
Carter
it.
too. She looks just as
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Linda looks
No.
dynamite. I was, yeah.
Mm.
Anyway.
The thing that really started this stack, though, was the fact that there was a lot of 80s black and white comics there that I'm sure modern readers would just look at and turn their nose up at or go, what the heck is this? And pass by on it. But another offering from eternity was a book called Shuriken. And that was off of an independent published book of a female ninja character who threw a lot of throwing stars.
Okay.
Look at that! Look at that blade there. That's that looks like it's from the 50s type of thing, EC thing, doesn't it? Look at that.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, isn't it?
Dangerous.
Not sure about her eyes though.
Reggie Byers, I believe, was the editor. Yeah. Reggie Byers. Yeah, look at them eyes. Isn't that great? Look at those.
That's a little scary.
Are those her eyes
Those
or
look
her
like
glasses?
Glenn, those look like the painted eyes on the Moai on Rapa
I think
Nui.
that's a nose. That's a nose wrinkle right there.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
That's a little. Wow, that's really.
Well, nobody said
interesting.
they were expertly drawn.
No,
but
that's
they were-
great. That's
That's just as well.
Look at
Very
that
kid.
great
Very
two-page
kid.
spread right there. Look at the villain.
that's
Right,
cool.
okay.
Evil.
That's
Evil
cool.
villain. Big
That's cool.
sword. Big scythe there. Yeah.
She's got those
Big villain. She's about to
Lego
give
blocks
birth.
under
No,
her
what?
shirt, like we were saying the other day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's
Yeah. She does, yeah.
what is she
Which-
not wearing? I mean,
Which obviously, if you look, obviously not quite at the image age yet,
No,
because it's no circle templates were harmed in drawing that person. None. None. But yeah, great stuff. Big catalog of their previously published stuff in the back. Look at that great action panel. Whap.
whap.
That's a crack. Ugh. Right there. Anyway. Yeah. Another great book I found.
Could you imagine if you went to one of these places and you found like a really, really, really well done, sort of a good condition New Gods with a signature from Jack Kirby on it?
apparently somebody watched the show.
Ted's
Apparently,
got
yeah.
that one. I don't have that one. Ted's got the good one. I've got the
Yeah.
the loved one.
I figured wherever they got these books from, somebody
You're only jealous, Russ.
somebody either died and gave them their collection of 80s oddball books, or some comic shop went out of business and they ended up inheriting the stock or whatever. But I found a Trollords #1 wrapped in
Look at that.
plastic with a $1 sticker on it. But the spine, look at the spine on this baby. The spine on that is really good.
Gosh.
And
Yeah.
it is in
Nobody's read it. That's
it is in,
amazing. Wow.
buying shape. I haven't opened it yet.
It's probably been in that bag forever.
I don't slab a whole lot of books. It might have been in that bag for decades. Absolutely. Another one I picked up was Fish Police. Done
I like
shortly,
that. They're much better eyes.
shortly after the
Good.
Turtles
I
came
like
out.
that.
I actually kind of
Guess you can guess what it's about just from the title.
Got
Yeah.
Fish Police. Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Fish Police, great stuff.
They can never remember where they've been from one issue to the next.
And on the back, from comics and comics. It's the same bowl. They just swim in circles.
Yeah, it's just going.
It's all good. And its police chief is a squid. So hey,
He looks
That's
angry,
really
I
doesn't
kind of
he?
like I kind of like the graphics. That's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Nice.
great
cool.
stuff. Here is also I got #3 of Fish Police. This is a title I remember very fondly from back in the 80s days, and one of those books that you never hear about. I think they got this close to an animation deal, didn't quite make it.
Kind of
Russ,
like
of course
that guy looks like the Mekon, doesn't he? You see him?
Does
Looks like the
almost,
Mek-
doesn't he?
It's the Mekon's brother.
It's actually a fish, though.
I know.
But I mean, that's sharp though. I mean, for
And
what
they-
it is, it's great.
Yeah,
That's
that's well done. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
the Great
good.
Gatsby and sushi. You know,
Fantastic back cover.
Yeah, no messing.
But yeah, it's got it. That the whole book is very stylized like this. It's got
Yeah.
almost a what's the expression?
Art Nouveau or what?
Yes,
It looks
exactly.
yeah,
An Art
yeah,
Nouveau
beautiful.
feel.
beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
very much,
Yeah.
very much so.
I wouldn't
And it's-
mind that. No.
It's a book that nobody talks about anymore. You know, nobody hears anything about. Also from Mark Baudet, I picked up a copy of Miami Mice.
Oh,
Cool.
wow. Look at that. That's a nice drawing of a car.
Which is look at that. Isn't that a great car?
The E-Type Jag.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the premier issue too, because it says so right there.
Randy, do you look for like this really kitsch? Is it because you've seen these things before, or is it just like they're so crazy off the wall? They're like, hey, I gotta grab that.
Fish Police I've known forever. Troll Lords I've known Paul and Scott for a while, though. I've got him on Facebook. I don't talk to him very often. Scott's still in the business. Paul, I think, is still drawing as well. But Mark here, this is Vaughn Baudet's son. And I'm sure we'll get to Vaughn if we start talking about paperbacks, because I've got a Vaughn Baudet paperback here that's incredibly rare. I wanted to show off, but look at that back cover. Look at that detail. I don't think Mark did that, but Mark's got a style that's very reminiscent of his father, Vaughn.
I like that mouse though behind the that huge mouse there. Can you see it across the river, whatever it is, behind the hedge. Behind the hedge. Look at that.
Great.
Brilliant.
That's cool,
it?
Though.
That's cool. It's great.
I think Mark did do that actually. It looks pretty close to what he would do. Let me look for a signature. No, but it does look like something he would do on a more detailed level. Mark has gone on to become quite the notable tattoo artist and muralist. And if you ever go over to his page, every once in a while, he travels all over the world in order to do murals on large walls, usually on the side of comic shops or in areas that is hard, has a lot of graffiti on it. In fact, he did one of Mobius's Starcatcher, which I were to show you the piece, you'd know what it is. It's of a girl in a futuristic outfit sitting with a box on her lap with a little glowing, I believe it's pyramid up there. And it was perfect. It looked exactly, and I'm not sure if he projected it or if he drew it freehand, but either way, it's an amazing piece of work that he had done. He just got done doing a mural, I think it was in Australia, that had all sorts of different elements in it. It had his dad's Cheech Wizard in it, but it had the spirit in it, Little Nemo, just all sorts of these great old timeless comic characters there that were just amazing. Also picked up a copy, and this is from, I think it's Crystal Comics, of a book that I remember was pretty well done called Eagle.
Oh.
And that's of a male ninja this time. I believe he normally carries a sword as well, but it's a nice cover.
Yeah.
That was, it's got a tag on the back. Is that on the, no, it's on the bag. Thank goodness. 1286, 12 of 86 is when this came out. Eagle. I think he also was printed by Eternity Malibu at one point. Let's see here. Picked up a copy of. I found some oddball stuff that I never seen before, and one of those is a racing comic, America's racing comic book called Race Warrior. Okay. Nowadays, that would probably
that wouldn't be good.
Have a whole different meaning.
Yeah, right.
But apparently, they sold T-shirts and they had multiple issues. They were sponsored by Valvoline.
Well, that's saying something.
So, yeah, and the artwork in that was pretty crazy looking. It's got great.
It's pretty good quality printing. I mean, it's not bad.
Oh, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I picked it up. It's got top-notch printing, but the people working on the book were also noteworthy, I believe. Let me try to see here. Co-creators John A. Powell, Jim Zeman, Dennis Johnson, Kelly Campbell was VP Creative. Let me see who did the actual work here. Oh, I saw the credits in here somewhere.
When was that published, Randy?
That was published in, it looks like 2000. Right,
so it's quite recent then.
Yeah. Well, I had never seen it before, but it's got some great.
It's colorful.
Yeah.
Car crashes and everything. It's a nice looking comic. This was issue 6, I believe.
Yeah, the cover's great.
So it went on for a while. Cover price of $2.99. Yeah, the cover's looks like it's painted. It's got a nice Nice reflection work there done probably in Photoshop.
Yeah, they could sell that in Britain. Yeah, cool. No comment.
It's got an ad for Squirt.
Okay, that's cool.
Also would probably have a whole different meaning in
I
today's
was gonna
society.
say, it's way ahead of its time. That
No,
magazine, isn't it?
that's a very popular soda around here. So. Bill Simpson, a race warrior for driver safety. Simpson Race Products. Still looking for an art team on this, and I don't see it. I did see it before. That's one of the reasons why I bought the book. Cover art, Roger Leyenmark. Leyenmark, Leyonmark. Mike Barron wrote the issue.
Wow.
So, again, Race Warrior. The comic book for racing fans. Also picked up an old copy, and I haven't seen this in a long time. I didn't think I had a copy of this, so that's why I bought it. Neo from Excalibur. That's got a wraparound cover on it. Very heavily manga influenced, very much American manga.
It looks like a Ian Gibson, doesn't it, Russ?
Hold on. Sorry, I'm working.
Not quite. I didn't see any Ian Gibson in that at all.
No,
I see what you're getting at. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
loose,
I guess I could see that. Yeah,
I can see.
Well, the interiors are looser than the cover. I can tell you that. There's an example.
Woohoo, loose.
Yeah,
it's got the great gun to the head motif.
Got that chick stone line around the edges.
It does. That ink outline
Is that Russ there kicking that guy?
I was about to say I don't think he's ever seen anyone actually kick anyone like that. I don't think your hip works quite like that. There's some anatomical issues there.
Yes.
How's the shadow on that
was
one?
parents.
How's the shadow?
Yes, the shadows. I didn't see the shadow. I was too busy looking at the bad artwork.
Derek Richardson, ink with assist from someone named Sky, SKY. There again. You needed to take a closer look at that.
Yeah.
Oomph. Neo. It's $2 or $1.50 in USA. It's printed by Excalibur Comics out of fine print. Out of print too fine for me to read with these glasses on. Derek Richardson, though, seemed like a familiar name to me. There's a great little.
It's kind of cool.
Apocalypse type bad guy there. Z, the beginning. Picked up a copy of Turncoat from Boom Studios, and again, in great shape, just unbelievable shape. And I figured anybody who works real hard to copy what I consider to be a pretty close to Mobius in look is worth 50 cents. It's got the same type of color sense, not quite the same quality, of course, but you can't beat Mobius. You just can't. But it was really close in look and feel. Look at that. It's got a nice, almost a European look to it.
Yep.
Great stuff. Turncoat from Boom. 104, of course. I'm not even sure if they printed all of them. I'm looking for a date here. I think that's 2015. Wow, not as old as I thought. Now I picked up a copy. Here we are from Eclipse Comics. Fashion in Action.
Summer Special.
Summer Special #1. Look at that. $1.75. Cool. This is done by the great John Snyder, whose artwork I always enjoyed. Let me find a really good page here. There's an awesome panel right there. Kind of like that close-up panel. Look down my gun. Yeah. John's very stylized work. Plus, there's paper dolls on the back.
Wow, look at that.
Love it.
And that's from the great Eclipse comics from back in 88, 86, back in 86. Great company. Cat Ironwood and Dean Mulaney. Old Eclipse. They also did Eclipse Monthly, which is another book that I picked up that has a wild variety of short stories in it.
That blue guy's almost a Ditko Spider-Man, isn't he?
It's Ditko. That's Static by Ditko.
Is it really? Wow.
Right.
Good
Static
eye.
by Ditko.
Yeah.
Rio by Doug Wilde. Dope by Trina Robbins.
Trina Robbins.
Yeah, Quack and the Foozle by Marshall Rogers.
Look at that.
Of course it is.
The Masked Man by I think it's Boyer. Let me see. And it's just a great anthology of stuff. Captain Quack and the Foozle. It's by the great Marshall Rogers, and I picked that up because we've talked about him just recently.
Look at that. That's fantastic. Isn't it?
Just fantastic.
Look at that chair, that stool on that box.
Yeah,
It's crazy. I've got Quack #1. I just found it.
Quack is different from Captain Quack.
Is it? Okay, cool.
Quack is a funny animal anthology book that was put out by Star Reach.
That's great artwork, isn't it?
And again,
It is
that's
actually
Marshall
pretty
Rogers.
good.
Anything Marshall
Beautiful.
Rogers is just amazing. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Look at the perspective on that panel there. Just lift it up a bit, Randy. That panel there, the perspective on that with looking up at that kid. Isn't it fantastic?
Yeah.
The kid
great.
here
Brilliant.
Beautiful. Yeah.
and the stool. Look at that.
Very nice.
Really good.
And the camera needs to focus. Here you go.
That's really
Just
good.
that entire story is great. Each character gets about 7 or 8 pages. Masked Man or the Masked Man cat editor. Let's see, BC Boyer.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Pretty much a spirit type character.
Yeah.
Some great. The whole book's filled with great art by great artists. It's just incredibly a lot of fun. Pretty cool. A little overly dark in the coloring, but pretty cool. Rio, if you've never seen Doug Wilde's work,
Wow.
there was a lot of talk for a while that he was lifting off of photographs doing his Western works, but to me,
it looks like Blueberry, doesn't it?
To me, that's more than okay. If you're not familiar with Doug Wilde's work, you are. And if you're my age, you're definitely familiar with his work because he went through and designed the Hanna-Barbera show Johnny Quest.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's got his signature at the end of every episode as the boat is going hydroplaning out of the water onto the 2 lizards.
That's cool.
It's created by Doug Wilde. Classic story there.
It looks very photographic, that artwork, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And like I said, he had gotten a little bit of
attention,
yeah, from some of the other professionals for lifting from photographs. But in my mind, it really didn't matter because there were so many other, your Al Williamsons and stuff like that out there did their own photo referencing.
Yeah, I think David Lloyd used to do that as well.
It doesn't hurt the works on the flow of the story because a lot of these layouts are very reminiscent to me of Alex Toth's work. Only Alex is a lot more.
It's only a reference, isn't it? It's only a reference.
I mean, so what?
Yeah, whatever you're using for you're creating.
I'm sure David Lloyd did that style for V, didn't he? V for Vendetta. That's David Lloyd did that sort of photographic style.
Did he?
Yeah,
he might have.
In a lot of places, yeah, I think so. And again, if you haven't read V for Vendetta, don't take the movie into consideration. Just sit and read the work. It's so different. Dope here, which is a Sax Rohmer adaptation of an old story that he did by the great Trina Robbins. Let me blow myself up here again. We've had Trina on Sunday Funnies and a classic Sunday Funnies way back when. This is some of her sequentials.
Lovely.
Great.
Beautiful stuff. And Trina's got a large history. It might be one of the first Fu Manchu stories from the way it looks. Awesome. Sax Rohmer is the creator of Fu Manchu. Another character you'd never hear anything about.
I'm going to say you're allowed to do that anymore. I don't think you are. Yeah.
Not really. And then the great Static.
Oh yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
The unmistakable Ditko.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Shouts at you.
And yeah,
Right?
DC has kicked out a couple of beautiful hardcover books of Ditko's DC work that I didn't have any appreciation for when it was first out. Shade the Changing Man and some of the Creeper material, but now it's just unbelievable to sit and look at.
Creeper. Sorry.
Yeah, what a great character! What a one of many of the characters DC has that they have no idea what to do with, which is a shame because there's some great IPs there that should be out in front of the people that aren't.
Yeah.
So
it's a shame they're doing all the cutbacks right now in DC too, and people are going to get lose their jobs soon. And it's
a lot of people have already lost their jobs at DC.
Real shame.
A lot of people in comics have lost their jobs. Some of them deserve it, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Again, the great
Sunday.
Ditko.
Yeah.
At the back, an ad for a Kent William, Don McGregor story, Melissa Siren. I'm not sure if it ever came out or not. Very Paul Galassi looking to me.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just great stuff. And then on the very back cover is an ad for Mystery.
Oh, I remember that. Mystery, yeah.
By the great Terry Beatty and Max Allen Collins.
That's great artwork. Beautiful.
Just some phenomenal stuff. Terry is currently doing the Judge Parker comic strip. And before that, he worked on the Phantom for about a decade.
Awesome.
Which very few people here in the States got to see, but Phantom is still very popular everywhere else. One of those iconic characters. Also from Eclipse, picked up a copy of Dan.
He's got the Phantom button right there. Boom.
There you are. Yeah.
I've got about 5,000 of those. I'll send you some.
Cool.
Hey, you really?
I'll take one.
5,000? You're going to have to,
Next
time you're here in the States,
literally, I've got a box full.
You're going to have to smuggle a few in when next time you visit the States.
Yep, I will.
Crossfire, #1 by the great Dan Spiegel.
Look at that.
Mark Evanier. Mark worked with Kirby for a number of years.
Really?
It's one of his assistants for
I've
a
got
while.
some of those Eclipse comics.
It's has written quite a couple of, at least a half a dozen books on Kirby over the years. And again, Dan Spiegel, another one of those artists that's terribly underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful style, very individual look to his work, and very good sequential art.
I like the lighting on the color on his boots there when he's on the floor. Can you see it just go down? That's it. Look at the lighting there on his boots.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That.
Go.
Absolutely brilliant.
And again, I think it was a Hollywood stuntman that turns a superhero.
As you do.
Right.
As you do. There's a great out of panel full shot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, long before Image tried to copy it. You know, this is 1984.
Wow.
Let me see what else I got. I picked up a lot of Chaykin in that pile, including Power and Glory from Malibu. Howard Chaykin, another person who has a very individual style.
Yeah.
Very unique. I remember he did some of his early work was with Star Reach, the same guys who did that Quack anthology. That I don't know how that happened. Let me see here. Pop that up. If you haven't seen Howard's work, Howard's out. Whoops, that's got a little tag in the middle of it. Howard's got a lot of work out by DC.
Mm-hmm.
This strip is pretty decent, so it's a lot of fun. And I picked up multiple issues of that. There's another. Here's a great cover.
Chaykin asked me to go and get pick up an award for him in 1984 at the Birmingham Convention.
Did he really?
I was sat with him in the audience, and it was when Flag had just come out and was
American Flag.
Yeah.
And
he was sitting right next to me with his wife, and I was talking to him, and then the award started, and the guy said, best penciler, Howard Chaykin. So he got up and he got that award, and he came back. And then just as soon as he got back, best inker was Howard Chaykin. So he got up and went that.
Wow.
And then when he got back, it said best colorist. And then it was shaken against. So he sent his wife up to get that one, and then the next one, he said to me, "Do you want to go up and get it?
You want to go get an award?" Yeah.
So I said no. So his wife went up and got all the rest. She just kept.
Oh my,
that's cool, man.
And at the end, he got about 8 awards. At the end of she just stood at the end of the row because she was having to fight her way out because we're in the middle, and she just stood at the end of the row and just waited for the next one. You know, the best-selling monthly comic of 1984, Howard Chaykin's American Flag. She just toddled up. She got all these awards.
Yeah,
that's great.
But he just turned to me and
here I
said,
go again.
Yeah,
that's great, phenomenal. Also picked up quite a few continuity books, and I'll just show a couple of them here because everybody else has stuff to show too. But picked up a copy of Armor.
That looks interesting, doesn't it?
Huh. That's nice.
Yeah. A lot
That's
going
great.
on there.
Continuity Studios. Neil usually did the cover art. Very rarely did he do the interiors. This is Trevor Von Eden. Here, though, it doesn't look like Trevor Von Eden. It looks like the Continuity House style.
Yeah.
It looks like. And again, this is the direct comics edition because they have a UPC box here that isn't filled.
Yeah.
Ad on the back for Crazy Man.
That's cool.
Crazy Man.
I thought that was your former president then.
He could be insane. No, the hair is all wrong on that.
I know. I just saw his face and I thought, oh,
not orange enough.
No,
and of course, the prime example of material from that time period. Let me see here when this was done. 1991. And the standard, pretty much the standard cover for a book like this at the time, Samarine.
Oh yeah.
Straight on behind shot.
Yes. Was this the start of the pin-up era?
I think this was well into the pin-up era. Actually, it was well into the image circle template. I call it the circle template era. So great, just great stuff. I saw it. I said 50 cents. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
Can't get a cup of coffee for that anymore.
Also, look at what else I got for 50 cents. Got a copy of Elementals.
Oh, really?
5.
Yeah.
By the phenomenal Bill Willingham, by the way, with a great wraparound cover.
Ooh,
that's cool. That's cool.
And just great work. Bill always does great work. Sometimes he needs a better inker than others, but normally his stuff has got a real stylized, great look to it. So, almost picked up a copy of Mage from the same time period by the great Matt Wagner, but I knew I already had that collected. So I'm not sure if I had this Elementals book, but I've got a lot of other ones. So I figured 50 cents. How can you go wrong? Well, you can go wrong on a few of them. I'll tell you that. I picked up a copy of Dr. Zero, #1, which is part of the Powerline series. And I thought Archie Goodwin had drawn or had written all of that material, and I remembered Dr. Zero real fondly for whatever reason. The guys, D.H. Kirchester, I think it was, did the actual writing in it, and the story was horrible. It was clunky. It didn't make sense at the end. There were a couple of mislabeled panels, and for whatever reason, I don't have it here in this pile. I must have removed it for some reason. Well, one book I was happy to get was the Helix book, #1, Bloody Mary. As I don't think I had a copy of this, and this is done by written by Garth Ennis, drawn by the great Carlos Esquero.
I'm going to say it looks very 2000 AD, doesn't it?
Yeah. Even though Carlos is drawing in a very quick style here, and the colorist decided that brown and dark purple was apparently the color of the day.
Yeah,
all the way through the way through the book. Look at that. Just. And it was printed on newsprint too, which means that it dulled out really bad. So you get a lot of this. It's almost monotone in places.
Yeah.
The colorist really massacred this.
They've not thought ahead from what it was printed on.
No. Look at that great explosion, but it's just dulled out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, Carlos is working on a deadline here, so he probably was drawing incredibly fast. But there's the lovely bullet through the head shot right there.
Wow.
Funk. And to me, Carlos is a strontium dog. You know.
Yeah.
It's just such great work. And this here, the line work is thinner, and he doesn't do a lot of his personal inking on it. I don't even know if he inked it. No, he's credited as artist. Someone named Matt Hollingsworth is credited with colors and separation. So Matt killed it, literally, in my opinion. Still, it's a great art book. The line work in this is amazing still, you know, even though I know he was rushing when he did it. The Helix line, I think, only lasted for 6 months and was primarily a science fiction sub line from DC, very much like they wanted to make the next Vertigo out of it, and they didn't quite make it. And some of the books on Helix's stuff were really good, very science fiction based. Now to counter that, I picked up a copy from Kitchen Sink, Power by Will Eisner.
Oh, there you go.
And this is one chapter out of many for a graphic novel that he was working on at the time, and it's kind of a self-contained story. Again, printed on newsprint, but it didn't, you know, you don't need much to print Eisner well.
Fabulous, isn't it? Will
yeah,
Eisner.
this is part of the Invisible People graphic novel.
Yeah,
but that cover is hardcore cardstock, and the story is great, just phenomenal stuff. And it's a very quick read, but a very deep read. You know, it's a lot of fun. A lot of somber tones. Just
fabulous.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
Eisner at its best. Let's see. Most of the rest of this is you know, okay. But nothing. I picked up just about every Black Flag that has been out by the great Dan Fraga. And I didn't realize Dan had drawn it such a loose, kind of a loose looking style. It's pretty image accessible, you know. I know he was he started out assisting Liefeld. Now he's got this he's got the Black Flag book as a crowdfunder.
Yeah, I just like it black and white's best. That's great.
I think it's all new material. Well, this is, you know, they solicit for these things, and then the numbers come in, and they go, "Guess we're printing it in black and white." Anyway, and again, it's an image book with a gorilla.
Wow, of course, robot or gorilla
with a gorilla in boots. Yeah, robot or gorilla, or of course, circle templates. Here's a great splash page right there. Yeah.
Whoa.
What a great style. Look at that.
Yeah.
Chapter 1 monsters.
Chapter 1 monsters. No ambiguity there. Chapter 1 monsters.
Well, he said about the book when he was doing the his campaign for it, that it's got everything he wants to draw in it. That's why he did the property. And I do have to admit that when you see it in color, again, it's just dark, and it kills all the line work. Just disappears. It's just not the same. It looks like Ted said, it looks so different in black and white.
Yeah.
Than it does in color. Color actually detracts from it.
Yeah.
Which you'll see happen more times than not, at depending upon the artist. You don't get somebody who does here's a great cover that I think is a good example of a decent colorist on his stuff.
Yeah.
Everything's brighter. You can see all the line work. Everything works and shines, even though you again, circle template era. So you're not wide-eyed kids. It's all great. Gorillas. What more? Big warriors, large dimensional women. How can you go wrong? Picked up this book from Broadway Comics, Knights of Broadway. You ever see that?
No, never seen that.
Bunch of exoskeleton suits. It's done by Broadway Comics. The same for a while there. The people who were fronting Saturday Night Live tried to do a comic company. Didn't last very long. I think it ran an issue or two. It's got a great ray gun on the inside.
Cool.
Front cover.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong there. And that's a Buck Rogers gun too.
Yeah, it looks like one of those German First World War Luger things, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what it was taken off of, I'm sure. It's a futuristic version of a Luger.
Doesn't Han Solo have a similar weapon?
Yeah, pretty close.
Designed from a Luger.
It's got a small barrel. Yeah. They just announced this week that they hired Harrison Ford to portray Thunderbolt Ross from now on in the MCU.
Right.
Is anything coming? Speaking of Harrison Ford and that, is anything coming of that supposedly new Indiana Jones film that him and Spielberg are working on?
They have been sitting on that.
Now Harrison's 80 years old.
Yeah, well, Spielberg removed himself from the project.
Oh, right.
Because he didn't like the story. Harrison did it, and it's been in the can, I guess, for a year and a half. The problem is they can't get it past their initial screenings. Every time they have a test screening for it, it comes back disastrous. And they try to go through and re-edit it. I
thought Spielberg wrote those things. Oh, no, was involved with the writing of them.
I think he was executive producing this, and he withdrew his name completely from the project, from what I understand. Wow. Yeah.
So it's finished, but they just won't show it.
It's been done about 3 times over, from what I understand.
Wow.
And they don't want to release it because it's been poorly tested, put it that way. The test marks on it coming back or so, because apparently the rumor is, and it's rumor because it's what's his name, Overlord DVD Doomcock did a video on it. He says the rumor is the basis of the story is that there's a female archaeologist that ends up going back in time and erasing Indiana Jones completely from history.
Oh, here we go again. So
yeah,
another reason not to go see another
film.
And
it turns into Indiana Jane, pretty much.
Yeah,
but
you can meet Jane Bond, can't you?
Surprised they haven't announced that project yet, just so they can write it off as a tax write-off. One of the books, one of the more modern books I picked up was a copy of Super Dinosaur, which is a little known Skybound title. I don't think got enough notice remotely probably because Kirkman wrote it, but that's my opinion. But anyway, it is a fun story about a boy and his souped up dinosaur. And they have sold collections of this that I picked up a couple of volumes. Volume 2 and 3 I picked up from Ollie's for like $4. But the artwork on this is by Jason Howard, who's a local talent, who's got local to me, who's got a phenomenal style, and should have gotten a heck of a lot more notice for this property. It was intentionally done as a all ages property. There's the dinosaur. There's Ski.
Wow,
nice.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Just some great all ages fun. Should have been a bigger property, but you know, when you get this big mega hit like Walking Dead, other properties that you're trying to push at the same time all get thrown back into the back burner. The back part of this, the back part of this is ripped, which I didn't realize before. And it's got another feature in the back that's cartoony done. It's not done by Jason Howard. Let me see who did that. Reed Gunther. Sneak preview. Looks like a guy who cowboys bears and avoids large dinosaurs. So,
cool.
Definitely a kid's property right there. Look at that face on that bear. Determination right there. Cool looking stuff. A great fun book. The collection was a lot of fun. So I saw an issue 2 and figured that was in the first volume that I didn't get. So picked up a copy from IDW of Grimjack. Another property that you can't really go wrong with as long as the original creators on it. And these were cool. John Ostrander and Tim Truman.
These people are always running, aren't they?
Always. That's so that they can tuck one of the legs back behind the body. They don't have to draw it. But Tim Truman did the artwork on this, I believe. I'm not sure who did the coloring on it. Tim Truman, creator, co-creator and artist, cover. Mike Gold, editor. I'm looking for a colorist. Apparently, it might have been colored by Tim. So,
yeah,
great stuff. If you haven't picked up I believe it was First Comics that printed Grimjack.
Again, to me, it looks like it could be in the page of the 2000 AD. It seems to be kind of slain thing, you know, that kind of It's nice though, isn't it? Very nice.
That's Truman. Truman's style is just amazing. So he's done a lot of writing lately. Did a lot of adaptation of Conan, Robert E. Howard in for Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Back when Dark Horse had the Howard license. He did a little bit of art for that, but not enough. It's a great. I have his Tim Truman's graphic novel of Time Beavers somewhere. Also a great funny animal book about a bunch of. It's like a time bandits only with beavers instead of dwarfs. It's pretty cool. Got a couple issues of Tales from the Bog, which not very many people know about. It's a self-published book at number 6, number 7 from Aberration Press.
My first comic that I drew, that I created when I was about 8, was called Monsters from the Black Bog.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't have any copies of it, but I remember the designs. I think I should bring it back.
Yeah, you should.
Let me find a decent page here. I got I don't know where half of them books went to. They must have disappeared somewhere. Maybe they must be in a different bag or something. But I had a couple of great books by, what's his name? The guy who works really well in blacks and did Union Jack. He's got a very accessible style. But that's Tales from the Bog. It almost looks like a comic strip more than a comic book. But it's a fun read. Anyway, a few other books here. Not much. Bought a copy of Mr. Reed just so I can read it. Because I know the guy who wrote it. He wrote a book on writing.
Was he called Mr. Wright?
No. This is Mr. Reed. Silly name. Again, some Chaikin material. Picked up a copy of Terminal Point because I thought it was interesting from Dark Horse. That's got some great black and white artwork in it. Picked up a copy of Soul Fire from Michael Turner, Aspen Comics.
Wow, I like that. That's good.
That's got some great artwork in it. Again, I think Michael Turner did the majority of it, if he didn't do all of it. Michael Turner and J.T. Cruel.
Is it hand painted or is it computer coloring?
I'm sure it's computer. Let me find it. Here's a good 2-page spread with a dragon.
Yeah.
Rawr.
Wow.
Rawr.
Look at that.
Great stuff. Yep. And yeah, a few other things, but Paul Grist. That's Gist. That's the guy. Grist, I think it is the guy's
Got
name
it.
that I picked up. A few Mudman and another couple books. But there's some of those issues aren't here right now. I don't know where they ran off to, but along with Dr. Zero. Really sad about Dr. Zero too, because I thought I couldn't wait to read that story again, and I read it and I'm like, oh, that's really clunky. What's up with that? I had to reread the last page a couple times in order to get what they were talking about. But anyway, that was a bit of my haul, most of it at least. So also picked up a copy of DC Superhero Girls, but I didn't pick it up for me because it wasn't done for me. Anyway. But that's the free comic book day, still worth 50 cents. My granddaughter's heavy into that property right now, so I figured I'd give it to her. Plus, a lot of the coloring on this was done rather uniquely. They're dropping lines out and substituting color for the line work.
Interesting.
Right.
Thought that'd be fun to look at for a bit before I give her the book. But,
Yeah, I was doing that 4 years ago.
I like the way that looks in a lot of ways for a lot of properties. Not everything, but
No.
there's some use for it. I did a mural one time where I was playing with different gray tones to try to push objects back and bring other objects forward. That turned out pretty well. That was like that. Outlined it in like a 50% gray.
It's okay if you're doing everything digitally. So, for instance, I did Ben 10, and I ended up by the end of the run on Ben 10 doing my inking, some of it in color. So rather than doing black inks, I was actually inking in the color that we were supposed to be at the end, and then applying the colors afterwards. Not so easy when you're scanning in black lines, especially if they're proper inks. So they're not going to be perfect lines, and there's little bits of, fur on them and what have you. But if you're doing everything digitally, it is something that can be done fairly straightforwardly and has quite a good effect.
Yeah. Been ignoring the chat here. Hope your morning's going well. Always good to see Russ around. We said that already. Sugar said I used to have a couple of issues of Troll Lords. I don't know where they went or where they are or where they're at. Might be in one of those long boxes somewhere. Yeah, mine too. Fish Police looks familiar. I never read it. Yeah, like I said, I think it got this close to being a cartoon. Never quite made it. Trina Robbins, Sunday Funnies. There's a link to it right there for the interview that we had with her. Says, I got the first 15 or so issues of Elementals. I remember liking it when I was younger. I had the issue with a vampire man. Okay. So Fazurko's in the house. Hey, guys. Hope you're doing well, Fazurko. Thanks for listening. Good morning. Good morning. Good. LOL. Good. Yep. And that's where we're at. So, yeah, that was pretty much my haul. I wish I knew where the other books were. I thought they were all in the same bag, but they must be scattered someplace else in a book poop pile somewhere.
So do you guys have in UK, do you have like not what is it, not 50 pence stores? What is it? Do you have something that's like a bin type of place?
There are charity shops and what have you. So that anything that's like says it's a pound shop is just importing stuff from across the world and selling it for pennies. So they're crap. And then there's you do get comic book shops, but all the comic book shops have already done their due diligence, and they're selling the things overpriced anyway. So the only and if you go to antique shops, occasionally you can pick up. So I frequent a few antique shops, and occasionally I pick up an old annual, and even some. I got some. I got all the newspaper strips of Judge Dredd.
Oh,
and
sweet.
some old 2000 AD yearbooks in an antique shop just 10 minutes up the road from me. But normally they kind of have an idea. So they, as soon as somebody gets hold of some comics, they take them straight to a comic book shop and sell them directly to a comic book shop. So the only place to really find it is if you turn up at a secondhand shop or, like a charity shop and somebody's literally just turned up, hasn't got a clue what they're looking at comics wise, just dumped a box there.
Right.
If you're lucky enough to find that, you can find some gems. But it's very difficult to find because people are so much more aware of comics.
It would you would think that it would be a niche for you guys.
Yeah.
There might be a store that might offer that, or in London or something that would offer some type of curiosity bookshop.
It's like Russ says that people have wised up, haven't they? And they realize
it's like that here too. Yeah.
The last time I did that successfully was 25 years ago. Okay, maybe even a little bit longer. And I walked to a shop that was literally outside of the place where I worked, and I picked up a 1967 Strange Tales, a 1963 Superman, a 67 Spider-Man, all American, by the way, not British.
Yeah, excellent.
And the first 10 issues of of Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
And I picked up some Eternals and some other bits and pieces.
Was that the Battle of the Apes magazine or regular floppy comic?
The floppy British comic.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
So it's the first 10 issues, all in really good condition. So just picked them up immediately.
Cool.
And I wish I'd bought the whole box because I was, I flicked through and pulled the stuff out. I thought, wow, that's quite nice. But I wish I'd bought the whole box. I just bought the whole box. But
Found the other set of books that I had gotten. So, but anyway.
that's the last time I've had any success doing anything like that, apart from, like I say, the odd yearbook or the odd bits and pieces. It's very difficult, and Glenn's right. People just know now. So
those yearbooks
directly
would be
to
fun.
Comic shops.
Yeah, those yearbooks are always fun.
Yeah, they're great. And so I think I showed them a couple of weeks ago, and one of them had how to draw Judge Dredd, and all it was just black and white illustrations of Judge Dredd by Brian Bolland. And it's like that's not how it works.
This is how you draw it. How you draw it. You draw it exactly like that. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to do. Just draw like Judge Dredd.
Exactly.
Just draw like Brian Bolland, you'll be doing all right.
Yeah, exactly. If only we all could.
I went into Forbidden Planet on Friday, and I said this before. It's getting obviously the building isn't getting smaller, but the comic section's getting smaller and smaller. It's just toys,
Unfortunately.
But I asked they've got all these racks and everything, and I wanted to look at some. I was going to buy a Mobius volume, and I couldn't see it. There was no Mobius, and I said to the guy, "Have you got any Mobius?" He said, "Yeah, that one there." And he sort of pointed, and there's all this wash of, you know what I mean. Anyway, I said, "You have to show me because I can't see it in the middle of all this." And they had one volume, one book, literally one book, not 10 copies of it, one book of Mobius. And the Dave Sim sections disappeared, you know, with
Cerebus,
the aardvark guy. All that's gone. They had those big volumes of that. They had lots of that. That's all gone. And
That's
it was
the only place I bought an aardvark. Was at Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, that's
back
right.
in the day in the 90s. Down in
shame.
London.
That's where I got it. But I was really surprised that it was all. I mean, good stuff. Volumes of 2000 AD, you know, Judge Dredd and Rogue Trooper, those kind of volumes. You've seen them, but I was really disappointed that there were no old comics there. They were all this month's Spider-Man and latest.
It's funny because the majority of comic book shops, I think, in America now are starting to see that actually it's the older comics that are making them month to month money. Okay, the new comics aren't selling as well.
That really came out within the last couple of years when the bug hit.
It's the last couple of years.
Everybody started looking at their stuff and going, "Oh, missing."
Whereas over here, they're still pumping, you know, but because a lot of it is import, and the only other place to get comics would be like in Tesco's or, you know, like the supermarkets where you get Panini reprints. And Panini do Batman as well as all the Marvel stuff, obviously, but they're selective about what they reprint. They don't just like put the whole lot through. So they have I think they've got a better sales numbers on it because they're specific. They're very particular about what they print. In comic book shops, it's different. I mean, the comic book shop I go to is actually in a place called Battlesbridge, and it's full of antique shops. It's an antique shop center. So that you've got this toy shop. Okay, so you go into the comic shop, and the ground floor is all toys and statues, but it's old toys as well. So like it's sort of leaning into the whole antiques vibe of the place. And then you go upstairs, and they've got hardly any new comics. They've got one rack of new comics with some graphic novels on there as well, and the rest of it is all old comics in long boxes. And down at the far end, you've got like a whole line of 2000 ADs, like old 2000 ADs.
That's great.
And a whole bunch of old. They had like Star Wars magazines. They had had a whole bunch of old Captain Britain's original run, Planet of the Apes, Conan, absolutely tons of stuff there. Unfortunately, nothing in a run that I could pick out and get 10 of. But still, lots and lots of that kind of stuff. But I think that's because they're leaning into the antiques side of things and the toy side of things. And there's always a lot of people in that shop. But new comics, unfortunately, they don't really get sold that much, I don't think. There's not a big market for that over here. I don't even think that the 2000 AD really has much of a readership anymore either.
There's not that big of a market over here for modern comics. Modern American comics.
No. I really think, unfortunately, as much as
big dogs, you know,
as much as I hate the idea of losing the floppy, I think it's dying. It's going. It's not the way people want to take in content. And I think that, you know, they were talking about like 20, 30 years ago, the graphic novel would take over and floppies would die. And that was far too soon. But I think now the way things are, along with Amazon, and
the way things are printed now, and
I seem to remember on Friday's show there was a comment from someone, and I think I'm right what they said, that the graphic novel slice, as it were, is 74%.
It is quite
of the
quite
sales.
Large.
So obviously people I mean, you can understand why. I mean, people are buying collected volumes, aren't they?
But that's the thing. that's the tick over, isn't it? Trade paperbacks, are not the same as a graphic novel.
Right.
No.
Okay. Correct. A graphic novel is one story encapsulated, even if it's a series, and it's you know, moves from one to the next, it's still an encapsulated, whereas trade paperbacks are multiple issues of floppies stuck together in one story. And of course, if your writers are writing to expanded storytelling
Mhm.
and making everything sort of work over a lot of issues, that doesn't actually work that well for a graphic novel.
Right.
So
True.
what's happening is people are going to them and going, well, I'm not really having fun reading this, because they don't appreciate that they're actually reading multiple issues. Whereas if you go and get like an essentials book or a reprint from back in the old days, you know that's exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're happy to read it in that format.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of juggling to be had before everything settles down. But I think eventually that's where it's going to go, even to the point that maybe everything will go digital first, and then you get trade
Go back
paperbacks.
to
But even then, I don't think enough people will read the digital comics. I just think people. I think there's been a big push over the last couple of years. Probably with what's happened, it hasn't helped. But people like to have books again. It's like vinyl. People like the tangible, and people want to own their own stuff as well, because they know, if they've got a service whereby they've got a digital floppy comic, it might not be there next week if the company goes down or whatever.
Yeah.
Have a magnet
so
too close to your computer. Boom. It's
yeah,
gone.
exactly. So they want their own stuff. So graphic novels, I do think graphic novels have got a great future to them. And I think more and more people are going to come out, more and more publishers who aren't necessarily associated with comics are going to start publishing graphic novels.
Well, sadly, I think the market itself has shot themselves in the foot a couple of times.
To a degree.
When it comes to telling their writers that you need to do 6-part stories in order for them to collect in the books. Nobody wants the individual chapters anymore, because it's hard to get all 6 of them, especially if the title is a dog and the retailer doesn't have any faith in them. And you might get 1, 4, and 6, and then you have to go around all over the place and hunt for holes. But also, they don't encourage. They're not looking for expanding the market. The big dogs aren't. They don't care about printing physical comics anymore, because all they're interested in is if they can take that IP and turn it into a movie or turn it into a game or whatever. They don't care how it is when it's printed. That's why
producing comics, there is not enough money in comics for someone like Disney.
And sadly,
they don't
there
give a
could
monkeys about it, but they don't care. It used to be back in the day, Marvel made comics because that was their business. They sold millions of the things and made billions or millions, whatever it is. Okay, now they make $1 billion, or they make maybe 500 million in profits. Profits alone on one movie.
But they're also diversified with action figure, the whole
and all
gamut.
kinds of stuff. And whereas they'll make maybe make 100 million in a year on the whole of the comics industry, just pure profit. Okay,
but don't forget,
why do they bother?
When it comes to digital,
when
it comes to digital, they shot themselves in the foot again, because they listened to the retailer who said you can't sell this thing at an inexpensive rate, even though you don't have the overhead that you have in a physical comic.
Exactly.
And on a digital file, you have to pay your talent. But they're not paying their talent much anyway.
What it should have been is the internet should have been the new storefront, whatever it is. What it used to be. Comics used to be sold before the direct market in
comic shops or what?
No.
That's
out on the press, the newsstand. That's the word I was looking for. Newsstand. Okay, the internet should have been the new newsstand.
Well,
they
should have made it accessible and like 6 months behind the actual physical comic. Yeah. If you wanted to know what the character was doing now, you can go to the bookstore and pick up the physical book, or if you wanted to read the back issue, but then that shoots the back issue market too. So they were caught in a kind of a conundrum. Plus, the other thing that they hurt themselves with is the format that they're coming out in, because Comixology is literally killing the digital market because of their changes to their format.
I understand
they're
why
making those books harder to read, and the kids are going to manga instead.
I understand why the market would like digital things, okay? But I'm not going to buy a digital thing for the same price as a real thing.
No,
you're right. You're right.
It's not going to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do it. And then at the end of the day, even if there was the case that I was driven towards digital, I'd still feel like I was being cheated. Do you know what I mean? Yep. So I think there's all kinds of problems that are involved in that, and I think that the solution to it will be graphic novels, proper graphic novels, and more of a sort of a European slant on the way that you sell comic books. You know, you do good graphic novels. The term graphic novel was simply came out of snobbishness.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to call them comics.
Yeah.
Okay, they wanted to call them graphic novels, so they'd have some sort of air of respectability.
Well,
but at the end of the
also-
day, the Europeans have been making comics very, very successfully in fantastic markets, just like the Japanese, for quite some time. And it's just a matter of if we can get that approach in the more Western comics, you know, in more sort of Americana
I think
comics.
Also, there's a mindset here in the States where comic books are looked as kiddie literature.
It's the same here.
That's why Eisner pushed the term graphic novel in the first place, especially for Contract with God, because he didn't want kids reading it. He knew it was going to go over their heads. So this isn't a comic book, kids. This is a graphic novel. And it also, and you said snobbishness, but we have to be snobby about that kind of thing, or you get this stupid mindset prejudice of the comic code authority level kiddie literature book that comics had been here for decades.
When I'm talking about the snobbishness, I'm talking about the fact that comic books in general are not seen as a valid art form in America or in the UK. Yeah. In Europe, they are. In Japan, they are. And look at the markets and look at the money they make.
Right.
Well, even not too far from where you guys are at in France. It's amazing the difference. Yeah. It's absolutely shocking. I think that one of the things too, though, in the graphic novel, what you're saying too, Russ, is the interaction of what they're going to be able to do only with when you purchase the graphic novel. So, for instance, the interactive side of it, you're going to be able to open these books up and only be able to scan a page and get on to everybody's there's going to be other things they're going to be doing that are interactive for people. So you're going to have both the graphic novel and the internet-based technologies that's going to be offered only if you purchase those graphic novels. Does that make sense? So the future for the future, I see it doing that. I see it being a huge world, literally a pop-up book across the globe, and that's what's going to do. But only if you buy these graphic novels. You're not going to be able to access it any other way.
The interesting thing to me, and it's like, you know, I always bang on about the original artwork. These films that make billions of dollars are pushing up original artwork prices and the original comic. Like we got the Kirby stuff. So at the end of the day, people should realize that as human beings, we're very tactile. We like to touch things, and you can't touch that strip on the screen. You can't smell it. You can't tear it. You can't. Your mother can't throw it out. You know, that kind of reality. You know, and I think that it's ironic that Marvel and DC go big time with the films, and I can understand they want billions. Who wouldn't? But neglect the source and the source material. And then in turn push up the price of, you know, Fantastic Four #1, because every collector wants that.
The reason every collector wants that, though, outside of the subject matter that's in it, was because the format was disposable.
Yeah,
exactly. And people never treated it. They never saw it as the collector's item that it became. That's why the collectability on it is so high. I think that there's a need, on one hand, not to dispense with the collectability, but there's a need to get back to the disposability of comics again. There needs to be a comic out, a company out there who's brave enough to kick a book out like the Archie Digest, only maybe in a thinner saddle-stitched format, almost like the Poor Richard's Almanac, that I don't know if you have those over there or not, but we sell them over here. Every year about this time of year, they're always selling the next year's almanac, which is a thick saddle stitched book, mostly newsprint, with a really bad orange stock cover on it, that everybody recognizes, single color, black and white all the way through. But a comic like that selling for about $5, it's got about 100 pages in it, could do real well, almost like the Bernelli. I think that's how you pronounce them, the Italian Bernelli books that come out, your Tex, your Dylan Dog, that kind of material that Dark Horse tried to print here a few years back. They only printed 6 issues of it, and I wish they'd have kept going, because I think that format would have caught on. where they were selling 100, 140 page literal, you know, it's the same as what the albums that they have over in or Italy, about the size of a Reader's Digest, that were square bound on it. Nathan never, Dylan Dog was part of that. Tex wasn't, but I've seen some textbooks, text chapters that are like that.
I think unfortunately we're in the world we're in, and while the big companies are owned by entertainment companies that are based in Hollywood, they're going to say comics can't make you $1 billion. It's as simple as that.
That's very true.
All we can do is find our own way to market. All we can do is find smaller publishers who are happy to make thousands or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars from books rather than billions, and they'll be the outlet for us. They'll be the way.
Yeah, and we're seeing that in streaming. We're seeing that right now on Netflix and Hulu, everything, and that's really I think that's a terrific market for comics. I mean,
and it's very much disposable watching too.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's brain check material for the majority of that stuff. You don't think about it. Don't put it in any type of continuity. Just sit there and watch it. Point at it, laugh at it. You know.
I think this was your idea, Randy, a few months ago when you said the best thing that the best thing they could do is give the kids or the people who go to see the films a comic book.
Yeah.
And say, we do this as well.
It's an interactive,
you know.
But the issue with that is that the people that are making films like Disney just don't think they're going to make money out of comics, so they don't even bother. And it's not $1 billion industry for them, so they don't care. It's just.
But you think they've got enough money to try?
Yeah, but they don't care.
They have more than enough money to try.
They don't care. They don't want to know.
If their attention was put onto that, they would care and they would change.
Yeah, exactly.
If right now it's not. Right now, it's
the problem is
it's not going to make $1 billion, so they don't want to know. You can understand it to a degree. You can understand it.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
but they don't want to know. So the only thing we can do is go another route, find another route to market, and keep comics alive. Just don't rely on the old world. Make a new one.
They're so busy trying to satisfy their stockholders on a quarterly report than to explain to the stockholders, yes, we took $1 million loss here, but it's going to turn into millions down the road because these kids are going to get hooked on this stuff.
Yeah.
You see this comic here that I had printed, this has got a newsprint interior. This is the Preserver's book I showed earlier. This has got a newsprint interior on it, just like the old comics from the 80s or the 80s and before. It's got a standard newsprint look to it with a slick cover, cover on it. But look at that price point.
Free.
Right there.
Free.
It's free.
Free.
And it's because they were able to print 5,000 copies of this book. And it's 16 pages, looks like a comic. It's a little thinner than an actual comic because the printing presses have changed since, you know, they were printing comics in the 80s and 70s and 60s, but it feels like a 60s comic. 16 cents a unit. 16 cents a unit. And anybody, this is what Alterna Comics, this is what Peter Cimenti knows. This is what he runs on. Only his print runs are a lot thinner than this.
He's saying that actually newsprint is getting harder and harder to find.
It is because not enough people are using it. That's the problem. If more people were to use it, there'd be more newsprint made, and then the price would go down again. It's a supply chain circle.
Yeah.
Just like what everybody else wants to cry about right now.
It's an absolute sort of dream to be sitting. If you could sit there drawing comics every month and know that it's getting pumped out in their millions.
One of the mistakes
on crappy paper like that, it would just be fantastic.
One of the mistakes I think out of many that 2000 AD made in their lifetime is that they went slick.
Yeah.
Because those early issues are the best issues because you weren't looking at the format. You didn't think it was a slick magazine. You picked that thing up knowing it was a newsprint. You had it definitely had a rag feel to it. And
They also
I mean that in the most kindest sense possible, and it was great.
But they started doing color pages, didn't they? Which was the
more color. Yeah,
it should have been black and white.
There was a while there it was 9p. you know, and you could just walk in every Wednesday and pick up the next issue. There was a stack of it like newspapers.
Used to be the case. You get a whole dollar for 9 pence.
Yeah.
What are we now? 1-to-1, I think it is.
Oh, yeah, it's close, isn't it? It's 90 pence.
Have you noticed how it's 1-to-1 and the Euro's 1 as well? It's all getting to be the same.
But one of the issues that, well, this is one of the things we're talking about today, Randy, is that the books that we're going to be showing you here were one of the alternatives.
It's too late, Ted. We're going to have to push that back for another episode.
On another day.
No, another day soon.
Okay, good.
You let me know when you're available and we'll run. Russ, don't run off. I was going to have you tell folks where they can find you, but that's okay. We've passed an hour and a half mark already without me staring at the time. Yeah.
Yep. Crazy.
That's how fun this show is. It just goes by. I didn't have a chance to show the second half of the book, like it was this Eternal Conflicts of the Cosmic Warrior.
Look at that.
Try to figure that out from Image. This is cool, Paul. Man. I want to pronounce his name right. I've got him on Facebook. I love his stuff, everything that he does. Paul Grist used to do a series called Union Jack. That's amazing. I'm pretty sure he is British, but he's very much has his
cloak.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Inside of that cloak on the cover was very Ditko Eternity, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot of Ditko in this, a lot of Alex Toth, you can tell, but just some beautiful.
Nothing wrong with that
stuff. No, nothing at all wrong with that. There's some great graphics in this. Let me blow that up a little bit here. Russ isn't back yet. I hope Russ comes back soon. He must have had to run off. Some great That's graphics, awesome. Even though the coloring on it is monotone. It's just some fun stuff. Look at that. There's the back cover as well. He incorporates the cloak and his pants into the cosmos. Just some great stuff. 50 cents. Again, 50 cents. There's that Dr. Zero book I wasn't happy with. That was an epic book from way back when. He was part of, I think, one of the last Secret Wars things that they did. You'll probably end up seeing him in a movie eventually. Eagle #1, I picked up. And the only book, it was one thing that I was doing when I was going through that back issue bin, is like, please don't have anything of mine in here. Please don't have anything of mine. It was 50 cents. I found one thing. A copy of System 7 from Arrow Comics, #1.
That's cool, man.
Look at that. So cool. It's a superhero title that Ralph wrote, that Mark Winfrey drew, and my contribution was coloring the back cover with felt markers so that they can fill it, because it's long before digital. Trying to get a good felt marker look to it. Yeah, great stuff. Just awesome. That's the only thing that I found in there that I had a hand in. Thank goodness, you know.
Still cool though. Still cool. Doesn't matter if it's in it. It's so cool.
Troll Lords 2. Yeah, it doesn't matter that I was in it. It's still cool. It's a good story too.
Yeah.
I was art director at the time, and we couldn't find anybody to color the back cover. So I'm like, where's your marker? We'll get this done. Zero Patrol from Continuity again. Just great stuff. Anyway, we're over our time. Didn't even get to Cannon Boy.
Look at that.
It looks cool, though.
God, look at those legs. Aren't those legs fantastic?
Back cover.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Look at that detail of that skull. Just great.
Crazy.
And it's the adventures of a little, and this fits in into your hatch. It's a story with no dialogue.
Wow.
It's all pictures. Very much Mobius influence there.
Yeah.
It looks a little 2000 AD as well.
Walking through the world. Look at that. That looks like something that Glenn would have drawn right there.
That's cool, though. That's awesome.
It is.
Great minds.
It's amazing stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Just cool stuff. Picked up a couple of issues of Detectives Incorporated. They did that as a graphic novel back when they were just doing graphic novels. And they split it into regular comics. This is Don McGregor and
Marshall Rogers again. Yeah.
Marshall Rogers again. Yeah.
Yeah. Fabulous. Excellent.
Kaptara. The Boundless Travels by Cat Tanks. Oh, you can't see it. Let me take it out of the bag here.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Craziness.
Look at the tracks on that. Fantastic, aren't they? Wow.
That's got a bit of a Kevin O'Neill
Yeah, I'm going to say
Yes,
2000
it
AD
does.
again.
Very
Kevin
much
O'Neill.
so. Let's see who did the artwork on this. Very much like Kevin O'Neill. I can see a lot of that influence here, but it's also a little bit more cartoonier as well.
That's good though.
It's cool though. Yeah, very
Fun.
cool.
Yeah. Like I
Nice,
said, I tell everybody as often as possible, go visit your retailer. Take a look at those boxes that nobody has looked at for a while, the ones that are covered with dust. You'd be amazed at what you found. Found a couple of issues of Transit, which we don't have enough time to open. That's Ted McKeever in a very unusual, unique
Ted's
style.
awesome. Yep.
What's New? A strip
Pussycat.
collection by Phil Foglio. You've never seen Phil's work. Also amazing stuff.
Cool.
Very cartoony, but
when's that from?
Very well done. This is from Palliard Press, which I think is a gaming company that kicked this out as a collection. Let me see what the year is on it. It is 1981.
Wow.
Awesome.
In full color.
Great.
And Phil did a lot of gaming work. He also did a Girl Genius comic strip for a while. His main book that I remember him from is a book called Xenophile, which was in a very adult, hardcore comic that was not in remotely made for children. Found this copy of Battlestar Galactica, 1980.
Oh, there you go.
1880.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
Nice.
A steampunk version of
Wow.
Battlestar Galactica. I
Nice.
never knew existed. This is
Nice.
from I believe this is from Dynamite. Yeah, Dynamite.
That's cool.
There's a Vampirella ad on the back of it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Right.
Just great stuff. There's a lot of more oddball stuff, but we're past our limit. So we've talked enough for this episode of Sunday Funnies. So let's see in the chat. Good. LOL. Good morning, everyone. Blue Teddy narrations just walking in. Remember, we're archived over on the Indie Comics Network, so you can go back and see the entire episode. Relive that stuff. We love we love hit counts, but most importantly, you need to go over there and subscribe. If you can, the Indie Comics Network, we do a wide variety of programming, some of which you're not going to like, but that's okay. It's all right. I had Detectives Incorporated. It was a good read. Yes, it was. Eclipse also did a great graphic novel back then, Saddle Stitch, by Paul Gulacy and Don McGregor, called Saber. I've got a copy of it back here somewhere. It's like a post-apocalyptic barbarian type character. Reminded me a lot of Jimi Hendrix. So very unique stuff. Critical Blast says tuning in on this show is like that first sip of coffee. Thank you, RJ. Deeply appreciate you for saying that. That's what we want to do, though. These are the comics that we love, the comics that inspire us. And we try to be, on this show at least, we try to be positive, even though we were talking about the modern market there for a little while. We try to be positive about stuff.
There's positivity in that. I think it's not about just saying, oh, we don't like the way things are going. It's like sometimes you've got no choice and businesses have to do what they do. And, the only thing you can do is be positive about the art form, be positive about, the things that you can do. And what you can do is you can make new comics. You can make great comics. So you can go out and find a publisher that will publish you. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Go out and do that.
Yeah,
female barbarian character named Red Fox.
I worked for Harriet Comics in the 80s.
Did you really? Harrier Comics?
Yeah.
Good for you. Cool.
That's cool, man.
E-Man. Remember E-Man?
I remember that, yeah. I remember that.
Is that Eamon Holmes?
No, it's E-Man. E-Man. This was originally a Charlton Comics, then got printed by First Comics for a while. It was owned by the great Joe Staton. It's about a guy, alien character made all out of energy, trying to get along in the modern world with a koala that's a detective. Yeah.
As you do.
As you do.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Some great stuff. The earlier Charlton works are a little bit more cartoony. A little, I think they're a little bit more stylized.
That woman there on the phone,
that
woman on the phone, look, the redhead looks like her off Married with Children.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, but again, he's like a Plastic Man type character. He can bend himself all over the place. The first E-Man comic I remember reading has him popping up around that red-haired girl and circling around her, popping up out of her toaster as a piece of toast, and circling her, and then talking to her. Great stuff.
Like Russ
Again,
does, as you do, right? Yeah.
Continuity Earth 4, their version
My
of
toast
Elemental.
is constantly talking to me.
Yeah. Speaking of Joe Staten,
There you go. Yep.
Oh yeah, there you are.
Joe Staten interview. All right. I want to thank everybody for watching the Sunday Funnies. Hope you had fun. We had fun. And that, again, if you didn't see the whole episode, feel free to go over and catch us archived over on the Indie Comics Network. So make sure you go over there and subscribe. Tell your friends. So we're just here to show great stuff off and to talk about the books that we love and doing this art form that we love so much. We're here every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., I do the Zimcast, where we talk more about the business of comics with a more opinionated slant to it. Then on Friday morning, most of the time Russ is there. Most of the time Glenn is there at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes Ted's there if he gets up early enough. 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Comics by night.
More chance of Rosemary being on than Ted.
All right, challenge accepted, Glenn.
Oh boy,
it's on now. It's
All right.
on now.
We'll have to tell Rosamond now. It'll be a race. It'll be great.
Oh,
Ted,
the
tell
Rosamund.
folks how they can find you.
You can find me at teddaviesartistry.com, as well as everything Ted Davies Artistry on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And of course, you can check out our book, Comics Unlimited, that I published with this snarky guy right there on Glenn B. Fleming's Amazon page. Check out everything we're doing there. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate the time. Very,
Ted,
very much.
we need to schedule a Sunday when you know you're going to be up, and we'll do that. We'll do that. Ted got himself a whole set of Big Little books here.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. I
We'll
wonder where
talk,
that had gone.
we'll talk all about them next time. Absolutely.
And I pulled a bunch of Big Little books aside too, just in case we didn't, or just in case we had time after we talked about the all of the haul here, but. We get to talking, you know how it
no
goes.
problem. One more thing. I'm sorry.
My
I
apologies.
just want to tell everybody I'm going to be at the HalloCon down in Dalton, Georgia, coming up at Halloween weekend. I'm going to be guest of honor down there. Love for everybody to come down to it. It's going to be a great show. We're really looking forward to it.
Well,
And
that's
again,
awesome.
thanks again, Randy. I
Cool.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks
Russ
for
and
coming
I'll be
on.
there, Ted, won't we, Russ?
Okay, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it.
I'm sure the someday we're all
my arms
Yeah.
really hard.
we're all going to
It'll
figure
it'll
out
line
a,
up.
a show, and we'll all line up, and
Yeah. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
then we'll never sell anything, but it'll be a great time.
And we'll just ignore the audience and just chat.
Great.
We'll be chatting with each other. Yeah.
Say, oh,
That's it.
look, there's 5 people listening.
Russ, tell folks where they can find you.
You can find me at russleech.com. You can find me on the UK High Street, soon to be Italy and other places in Europe, with Batman. You can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. Got some stuff up there if you're interested in my process. You can find out about Only Death Can Save Us, book 1 and book 2 over at Indiegogo will be coming in the new year. And book 1 has been re-edited and will be published now by New Haven globally. So you can pick that up probably at Amazon or something like that.
Sweet.
Oh,
Awesome.
Art,
Awesome.
a soft cover.
Yeah, it'd be a soft
Gonna be
cover.
hardback.
So they it's just like soft like this, and then like it's almost newsprint inside.
Nice,
Actually, it was
nice.
exactly what I wanted in the originally.
Okay.
So they produce a lot of music books like Aerosmith and yeah, all kinds of stuff they do.
Fantastic.
But they wanted to get into comics, and so they approached me. So
There we go.
there you go.
good.
Great.
Good stuff.
Glenn, tell folks how they can find you.
Usual places: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You can find me on Thursday mornings or afternoon, depending on where you are, with this young man down here on the Comics Unlimited podcast. You can find all my stuff on Amazon. Tons of it, lots of stuff. Look at all this. Look at all this stuff. Look at it. Look at it all done by me. And
Careful, you're
you
going to drop it. Yeah.
Right.
and you can also order this
Mm.
pretty good book, I think, about
Very
my
good book.
visits to Jack Kirby. But
It's
if
a
you want to
good
get in
book.
touch with, me, thank you. Comics Unlimited Magazine at gmail.com. You can order this with this.
Cool. I was laughing at the time. We've been asked to keep it under 2 hours and to try to end it like at an hour and a half. And every time we get talking like this, I look at the clock and it's like an hour and 35 has already gone by.
Yeah. Boom.
Done again. Trouble. Again, last couple of bits on that haul. Here's a copy from Paul Grist of a book called Mudman.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Mudman.
Look at that.
Look at that art. That's nice.
Look at that. That's
There's
brilliant.
a little
isn't
bit
it?
of Manola in there.
Yeah.
There's he's got a very individual style, but you can see so many people in there. There's a little Frank Robbins, a little Alex Toth.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
See that totally.
Really,
yeah.
really simple,
great
but
stuff.
fantastic, isn't it?
Sometimes simple's the best.
Yeah.
You know, you look
Yeah,
at
like
CC Bex and that kind of
That is
just
cool. I like
incredibly great stuff. This
Kick the
came
old
out
man
from
in the head,
Image
yeah.
too. I was never able to get the books when they were first out, but here we go, Mudman.
that. Man.
And that's issue 4. So it ran at least 4 issues. I hope it ran farther. It's about guess what it's about? It's about a guy made out of mud. Who knew? Anyway. Also, last thing. I picked up a couple issues of this. I picked up a couple issues of Star Slam.
Oh, wow.
You can't go
You
wrong with
haven't
that.
seen this book. You need to see this book. This is
Wow.
Simonson doing his best on the stuff that he loves the most. You know, that's all.
Wow.
The easiest
Just
way to describe it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's hot. Yeah.
Just beautiful material. I picked up 2, 3, and 4. Well, no, 1, 2, and 3. 1. And he did a graphic novel of this. Yeah, it's only a 3-issue miniseries. So I got all 3.
Oh, good deal.
Here we go. This
Lovely
is from
stuff.
what used to be Malibu. Yeah, before Marvel came in and bought them out and wiped out all of their IPs and on. Anyway, hey folks, thanks again for
got me
watching
a-
it.
Sorry, I
Go
got
ahead.
me a Ragnarok this week. There you go.
Sorry, let me blow that up here. Boom. Is that
Wow.
the
Beautiful.
that's a
Wow.
collection? That's the collection. Is
Yeah,
that the first
yeah.
collection?
Look at that.
Oh,
Because there's
That's
3
really
or
nice.
4 of
Wow.
those out.
Lots of,
Beautiful.
actually, there's
Beautiful.
some rather nice design in here that's inspired me from my own books. There you go.
Good.
There you go.
Good.
Very nice.
I love the way he draws Thor's hammer in that.
Yeah.
It's just
It's very cool.
just a great creative design. I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can find me at on Facebook. You can find me on the other podcasts I just mentioned, the Zimcast and Comics by Night. Comics by Night Friday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard, or not 8 a.m. Sorry, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Zimcast, you'll probably be able to find one more time at 8 p.m., but I'm probably going to move it later to more like 10, maybe even later in the p.m., just so we can get a little bit more opinionated. And maybe find some other great guests.
So we can
So
swear
we'll see how
more.
that goes. We'll swear some more. Is that what it is? Yeah, that too. Anyway, thanks again for everybody watching. Make sure you go visit your retailer. Try to leave this industry in better shape than what you found it. If you have a book that you love, just like what you've been watching here today, make sure you tell your friends. Don't be afraid to say, hey, you know, I read this comic. It was really good. Even if you have to say, hey, I read this comic and it was really trash. And on this upcoming Wednesday show, we might have a discussion about other books. So we'll see how that goes. I just got my copy yesterday, so I haven't even taken it out of the wrap. I can't wait to read it. So I hope it reads as good as it looks. We'll see how
It
it goes.
doesn't smell as good as mine.
I bet it. No book. Very rarely do you find a book that way. And I'll tell you, Russ, I think I said this before. It kicked me back to my days in the 80s when I used to run a bookstore with an adult aisle down it, because all the most prestigious books, you'd open it up and you'd have that smell, and I'm like, oh, that takes me back.
You see, you can't do that on the internet.
No.
Nope, can't. Nope.
Smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision. Yep. All right, everybody, take care. Love you all. Thanks a lot for watching.
See ya.
You can always catch us archived. Tell your friends. Tell them to watch us as well. Tell them to subscribe to the Indie Comics Network. Tell them to go out to your retailer and take a look through their boxes, because who knows what you're going to be able to find. Hit those antique stores too. Hit those half-off dollar bins. You never know. You never know. I would, if I didn't have the time, I wouldn't have gone through it, started looking through it. When I started looking through it, all of a sudden it was real easy to get to their half off at 50 bookmark. So they were $1 a piece normally, but if you bought 50, they'd sell them to you for 50 cents a piece. So it was good. It was good. Thank you, Bowling Green, Kentucky. It was a high point one of the high points of the weekend, I'll tell you. All right, we're going to go out. We've got a couple of bumps. How much time do I have? I have no time. What are we at? No, we have no time. We're just going to go. We'll see everybody soon.
Does
Take
we
care,
done, yeah.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
If you get a chance, run over to Gemini Comic Supply, and on your way out of there, I meant to run that ticker all the way along the bottom here for the whole show, but never did. Go over to Gemini Comic Supply on your way out. There's a coupon code you can use, RAGIN10, RAGIN 1 and 0. They'll knock 10% off of your order. Go and visit the other, if you get a chance, watch the other shows and decide what you like and what you don't like on the Indie Comics Network. Let us know. You can always reach me at thezimcast@gmail.com, and I'm talking fast to try to keep us under 2 hours.
Get out now.
Get out now.
Oh.
Gotta go. We'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Going out the way we came in, and that's right here. See ya.
See ya.
Ha 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 ha.